speech in 3, 2, 1, go. I sold all my stocks because its value dropped immensely from this global conflict, right? So what I want to do in this speech is first rebut some of their base claims. Second, explain why it's more strategic to remain flat in the short and the long term. And third, just why the commitment lulls you into false sense of security that will actively diminish your confidence and at the same time reduce a lot of your potential. First is just to say that, oh, we need to prove that AI is a bubble. Sure, let's engage with that, right? So it's often considered something that's too big to pop because of the many investments that happens for this, right? But the reason that it is a bubble right now is because of companies like ChatGPT losing a lot of its profits, like literally hundreds of billions of dollars, projected to not even make a single one by around like 2030, right? Then there's so many hyperscalers like Microsoft and other companies like Meta to loan for these data centers that are going to be expensive or at the very least going to have a lot of risk when they are not in use, right? They are reserving these places without even having the potential to profit from it. And worse, it's something that they can back out of if the AI demand does not meet its highest, because that's something that we're not going to be able to do, right? So there you go. Second, something that government misses about AI is the increased competition and diversification. For instance, Japan and other developing markets are building their own semiconductor industries, which imply that they want to rely less on NVIDIA and TSMC. This is going to be very crucial in my extension later, right? They are nearshoring their data centers and supply chains given this risk, right? Second, OG is unresponsive to the pushes coming from Kuya Yosef. In fact, if these mutual funds are so conservative and have tapered growth expectations, they should not be investing on TSMC, given the macro and micro risks we mentioned. This debate is not about TSMC as a company and stock appreciating in a vacuum, but our burden push is specific over the next 24 months. There is simply too much risk in the trade-off we are willing to bite as we miss the TSMC trade, right? We are willing to miss the boat in order to protect the hard-earned capital of investors in the name of risk management. Third, OG misses the nuance to how the AI industry operates, right? The AI industry as a whole focuses on growth over profitability. They spend more than they earn, and in many instances, because of the cost of raw components and materials, TSMC is disproportionately affected by this given their size and scale, right? The economies of scale and first mover advantage works against them because similar to NVIDIA, they are most affected. That is also amidst a backdrop of declines in subscriptions since people are cost cutting in order to buy food and gasoline. And even in like the investors in NVIDIA, like, bro, why are you spending too much? Can you make some PCs, for example? Fourth, the fatal flaw of OG is that they assume certainty. They attempt to sidestep and symmetricize all of these harms we bring you and are ultimately dismissive. Contrary to popular beliefs, things can get worse, and that is what we've seen over the past month, and the wishy-washy stance of Trump about Iran that can lead to severe market decline and volatility, right? Donald Trump's Season 2 and protectionism is pro-NVIDIA and anti-TSMC. They are competitors given the US-China proxy war. That is why all the reciprocal tariffs of Trump during Liberation Day had led to institutional investors and mutual funds to sell their shares and liquidate. Note little to no response to our comparative of being flat, right? Being flat represents the liquidity of cash since cash is king to take advantage of market volatility. Market timing using technical analysis and charting is most important for us to potentially buy TSMC lower over the next 2 years rather than its peak valuation right now. First substantive, it's strategic to remain flat amidst existing global competitions. What this argument will deal with is to explain the existing challenges for TSMC against protectionist policies in US, Japan, etc. That was already mentioned in my responses, right? But first is why is it important to not commit to these high stakes? Yosef already explained the much needed illustration of these harms. I'll push a principle. Diversification is only achieved optimally when you anticipate a multitude of outcomes. A long position makes you commit to an expectation. Remaining flat gives you access to other tools, right? Even if it's going to be just 1% net exposure, it still harms and risks that will affect your clients, right? Second, TSMC is not the only supply chain for semiconductor chips. You're locking yourself in a risk without guaranteed returns, especially with the increasing geopolitical shocks happening right now, right? You don't give up, And lastly, you just don't give up liquidity on our side because it's going to be exclusive when you remain flat. This is important because they never prove why a mutual fund is unlikely to value liquidity in this specific situation as much as the bet that they're trying to push, right? Risk management 101. The weighing is simple. This deals with the constant push of like largest, biggest, because like empires fall panel, right? It only takes one bad day for destabilization to happen. Second, how this is get harder to pull out when you commit, right? It's a nail-biting process to hedge a lot of your assets because of what Kuya Seth explained about about the commitment that you guys will have, even if it's going to just be slightly above zero exposure. The direct impacts of this are that like you might lose money in the short term, which is going to be very anxiety inducing. And in the event that you're going to be successful in future geopolitical risks, you might take these particular long positions as well. And it's something that, you know, you shouldn't probably do because of the particular probably legal advices that you may have and the potentiality of loss that your clients may have. I'll take a point from closing. Opening. 3, 2, 1. Okay, engagement noted. Okay, second extension there, like our alternatives is much better. Let's just clarify. This is something that they try to push, right? So we try to capture market volatility by capitalizing on dips because we raise more cash than them. This is something that they refuse to engage with as something that's important, right? And we invest in other crucial, important commodities. Sure, let's bite their response on regarding to oil. It's a high price. But guys, oil is not like AI. It's not like semiconductor chip. Oil is an inelastic demand, inelastic product that is going to be needed by a lot of countries. It is considered a necessity for energy because it's literally what makes the world go around. No matter how high the prices are going to be, it's strategic to invest in this because people are going to want this. Semiconductor chips, on the other hand, is reliant on if even the consumers are going to like the particular investments that you're going to have for these AI companies or the product that they are pushing, which are actively being pushed back against by their consumers. For example, the shutting down of Sora, which is something that that's like the video creator for like AR, for example, right? So meaning then that when you hedge and compare and weigh these particular alternatives against their case, we just prove that we just have better flexibility, right? This is the most important thing for mutual funds in terms of risk management. Nuance this to the situation in status quo. Don't just treat this as if it's going to be any other situation. And with that, OO wins.